Above the swirling blue of Earth, the Sentinel One space station floated like a silent guardian, orbiting at a distance few humans could imagine. Its massive, gleaming arms stretched out across the emptiness of space, packed with state-of-the-art technology from the most powerful nations on Earth. Here, the best minds from America, Russia, China, India, Japan, and Europe collaborated, not just to study the universe, but to act as the first line of defense against the unknown. Inside the command deck, bathed in a faint blue glow from holographic displays, men and women worked tirelessly. For years, space had been silent, unknowable, empty except for drifting rocks and distant stars. But lately, strange signatures had started to appear. Blips on sensors that flickered and vanished. Lights dancing at the edges of long-range cameras. Whispers and frequencies that should have been dead. The crew passed it off as static, sensor malfunctions, or the echoes of pulsars. But deep down, unease had begun to fester. Commander Elias Ward, a hardened NASA veteran, leaned over the main console, reviewing yet another glitch in the sensor array. Behind him, Dr. Lena Kovalenko from Russia and Professor Hiro Tanaka from Japan exchanged silent glances. Everyone felt it. The tension you couldn't explain, like the moment before a storm tears the sky open. At exactly 0300 hours, the first anomaly appeared. A single dot, moving fast, too fast. Lieutenant Jason Mendez, on radar duty, sat up straighter, his fingers flying over the controls. Commander, I have an unidentified object approaching at. Sir, it's moving at speeds exceeding known limits. Before Ward could respond, alarms began screaming through the station. The radar screen lit up like a Christmas tree. Not one object, not 10, hundreds. Hundreds of massive ships, forming a crescent wall in front of Earth, eclipsing the stars. They moved with mechanical precision, as if they had been rehearsing this arrival for millennia. Their hulls were blacker than space itself, absorbing all light. No engines, no propulsion visible. They simply moved, as if they willed themselves across the void. Inside the command deck, panic rippled like electricity. Send out hails. War barked. Every language, every frequency. Mendez complied, broadcasting desperate greetings into the void. English, Russian, Mandarin, Hindi, Arabic, French, German. Languages scattered like flares into the blackness. The ships did not answer. They simply hovered. Outside the station windows, the scale of the alien fleet became terrifyingly clear. Each vessel was bigger than any man-made structure. They could blot out the sun if they wished. A low hum vibrated through the bones of the station. Not mechanical, not natural, a sound that drilled into the human mind. A low, endless note that made your teeth ache and your vision blur at the edges. Some of the junior technicians began to weep silently at their stations. Then, something worse happened. The ships moved again. Not toward Earth, toward them, straight at the Sentinel One. Ward slammed his fist on the emergency protocols. Seal the station. All decks go to lockdown. Ready the escape pods. Bulkheads slammed shut across the vast corridors. Airlocks hissed. Emergency lights cast the hallways in bloody red. Everyone braced for impact, but the ships didn't attack. They surrounded the station. A perfect sphere of darkness trapping Sentinel One in the center. The vibration increased. Laptops slid off tables. Water floated in shimmering blobs as artificial gravity flickered. Then the communication system, dead for minutes, crackled back to life. Not voices, images, projected directly into every screen, every visor, every retina. The images were horrific. Creatures not meant for human eyes. Massive forms, somewhere between insect and machine. Their bodies covered in writhing metallic tentacles. Their faces shifting endlessly between mockeries of human faces and something infinitely worse. The words came not through ears, but straight into minds. A message burned into their brains. We see you. We have always seen you. You are not the first. You will not be the last. Lena gasped, clutching her temples. Hero screamed. Mendez collapsed, blood trickling from his nose. Ward fought against the mental intrusion, gritting his teeth until his gums bled. Then the ships opened. Their hulls unfolded like petals of a nightmarish flower. Inside, no machines, no armies, only more portals, wormholes spinning in impossible geometries, tearing space itself apart. Through these portals, things began to emerge. They were not soldiers. They were harvesters. Creatures like twisted trees, walking on spider-like legs, their arms ending in hooks and tendrils. They drifted silently from the alien ships towards Sentinel One, passing through its walls as if they were mist. The first victim was Dr. Patel in the laboratory deck. One moment, she was monitoring radiation readings. The next, she was lifted off her feet by an invisible force. Her body twisted unnaturally, bones snapping backward, her mouth stretched wide in a silent scream. She was peeled apart, layer by layer, until she became a floating spiral of flesh and bone, absorbed into the dark mist of the creature that devoured her. Ward shouted orders, but it was useless. Bullets did nothing. Lasers fizzled out. Even trying to run was like moving through molasses. The station itself seemed to conspire against them. Hallways stretched endlessly. Rooms led back to themselves. Lights flickered, showing glimpses of things that should not exist. Shadows stitched together wrong. Children with empty sockets for eyes. Staircases climbing into nowhere. The Sentinel One was no longer in orbit. It was inside something else's mind. Ward, Lena, Hero, and a few others regrouped in the hydroponics lab, one of the few areas untouched by the corruption so far. They sealed the doors with emergency welders and huddled together. "We need to destroy the station," Hero said, his voice hollow. "We cannot let them reach Earth." "But the escape pods," Lena started. "They'll follow us," Ward interrupted. "We've been marked. There's no going back." Through the glass walls, they saw the creatures moving. Searching, sniffing, as if savoring the last moments before the feast. Mendez was missing. Ward suspected he was no longer human. He had seen enough to understand how this would end. They had one choice left. Ward activated the final protocol, self-destruct. A last resort, meant only for the gravest emergencies. Nuclear reactors deep in the station's core began to overload. The team looked at each other, silent goodbyes passing between them. Minutes ticked down. The walls groaned and cracked. The station's floor became sticky underfoot, as if bleeding from unseen wounds. Just before detonation, the walls melted away completely, and the Count appeared. Not the Count of vampire legends. This was something worse. A towering entity cloaked in infinite darkness, wearing the suggestion of a face. It smiled. Ward stared back, refusing to show fear. "You cannot escape what you are," the entity whispered into all their minds. "You called to us when you reached beyond your sky. You invited us with your curiosity. You begged us with your ambition. Now we are here." The countdown reached 0. Blinding white light consumed everything. For a moment, there was silence. And then, darkness. The explosion did not destroy the alien fleet. It did not even wound it. It merely announced humanity's readiness to be harvested. Far below, on Earth, telescopes watched helplessly as new stars appeared in the night sky. Stars that moved. Civilizations across the globe looked up in wonder and terror. The invasion had begun, and the space station Sentinel One was now part of them. Orbiting Earth, a broken, bleeding monument to humanity's first and last warning. To be continued in Part 2.